This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 245.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash. 404 error. Page not found. Links aren't working. System is crashing. System is crashing. System is crashing.
Your old HTML website. Barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website. Better than it was before. Better. Stronger.
Faster. We have the technology. The technology.
Why, hello there, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, coming up. First and foremost, upcoming events. We have a whole bunch of things coming up, actually. There are a handful of WordCamps and other things, too. So, WordCamp Orlando, November 9th through November 11th, down in Florida. WordCamp of Bogota, also November 9th, 10th. November 9th and 10th. WordCamp Seattle, November 10th and 11th. And I believe my buddy Kyle is going to be there. So am I going to be there to surprise him? I don't know. Could be interesting. If you are there and you're listening and you see Kyle Maurer, say hi to him for me if I don't see him first. All right. WordCamp Puebla, also November 10th. WordCamp DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, November 10th and 11th. And final for the WordCamps is WordCamp Islamabad, November 10th. I'm actually at the moment not scheduled, well, maybe except the one surprise, not scheduled to go anywhere for those camps only because it's my birthday on the 9th. So I'm just putting that out there. And I was going to go to Orlando originally, but it's my birthday weekend and I'm not traveling as far as I know. So, all right. Also, two more things coming up. PHP World is coming up. November 14th and 15th. It's in Washington, D.C. And I mention it because they are having actually some Gutenberg development led by my friend Josh Pollock and Zach Gordon. They're doing the future of WordPress development. It's a separate day ticket, so check it out. And also PHP is, part of the backbone of WordPress. So check that out, PHP World in Washington, D.C. And also, lastly, I just found out last week, like 2 days ago, I found out Internet Summit is going to be here November 14th and 15th in Raleigh. It's also around the country as it's a traveling conference. Just so you can know, I'm not sure the dates of the other cities as at the year's ending. Let me load this up here real quick. On the bottom of the page, it had, here we go, for example, it's Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Dallas, Denver. You can check it out. It's over at internetsummit.com. internetsummit.com. The 14th, 15th, it's at Raleigh. Seth Godin is the keynote. I really want to go, but it's kind of, it's an investment, not expensive. It's like 2,000 people. The cost for just the conference is $345. The plus pass is like $445. So you're looking at $300 to $400. But it's apparent. I think it's 2 or 3 days. 2 days. So interesting. Internet Summit. Yeah. So if you're in Raleigh and you want to go, or if you are just for looking for next year, check to see what next year's calendar looks like. internetsummit.com. I have no connection to them. But we'll see if I can make it work. I'm not sure. Maybe I can just kind of sneak in to see Seth. That'd be kind of cool. All right. I believe that is it for upcoming events. Moving on to segment 1 in the news. 2 things here. WordPress 5.0 Beta 2 is out in the wild. So if you're looking to help and test and find and squash bugs, check out WordPress 5.0 Beta 2. We are still on track for releasing WordPress 5.0 November 19th of this year. So that is in 15 days, 14 days from the release of this podcast. So, yeah, it's coming, people. So there you go. And lastly, the news, some sad news, but something you can help with. My friend Teresa Jennings has a GoFundMe as she has a brain tumor that has come back, and she is looking for some help in covering some of those medical expenses. So there'll be a link in the show notes. We wish the best for her. It's not, it's unfortunate. She had one before, or had one that came back. It's affecting her vision, headaches, etc. So I'll put a link in the show notes for the GoFundMe if you're willing and able to help. Every little bit helps. So I really wish the best for Teresa Jennings and speedy recovery. Okay, so moving on to segment 2. This week I want to talk about websites versus web apps. So not long ago, I was asked for some business advice for a company here in town. They hired me as a consultant because they were having some issues with their business model, and their website. And after digging around for a bit and asking a bunch of questions on the topic of website, of what they were doing with their business and the website, the discussion came up in a fork in the road, if you will. Should they fix the issues, or maybe would a mobile app be better? So it was an interesting conversation and slight digression, but we solved the immediate problem, and I'll get to that maybe at the end of this. But I'm here to discuss now with you some of that discussion, how that kind of what went that way, and more research I did on my own, because I think it's a valid point. So what is better, a web app or a website? And there are arguments for both sides that one is better than the other. But I came up with 4 things to consider. And, first and foremost, starting with a website can help you reach more users in a comparison to a mobile app in one aspect. Since there's nothing to download or install. It's not that hard to get the apps, obviously. You can just go to the App Store, whatever platform you're on, and install it. But spinning up a website, from the perspective of producing the content, it's much faster. You can do the 5-minute install in WordPress. You can go to other services and be up and running quickly as well. But that said, 4 things to consider, as far, let's say, from the perspective, because I'm gonna speak on the web app side of things. I'm not an app developer, but I did the research here, and I wanted to mention what the strengths might be on a web app, and we'll get to, purposes and whatnot. But number 1, mobile apps offer personalization. So they can offer a user to set the preferences from the start based on what the user wants to be served with as far as custom content. And then the apps can track and observe that user engagement. So there's that personalization from the get-go. Yes, you can do a membership site on a website, but it's different than a mobile app. Number 2, the ease of sending notifications. So the notifications these days with apps are twofold: push and in-app notifications. They are definitely interesting and exciting alternatives for people to communicate with people and the app users in a much less intrusive manner. Of course, we can send notifications via email and blog posts and subscriptions that way, but email gets slightly lost in the ether. A lot of people just sign up for things, or we sign up for things, and you get all these emails. It's too much, right? So there's that. Number 3, if your service and product needs access to phone native features, the camera, the contact list, GPS, compass, well then obviously the app makes a lot more sense. So if you need access to native phone features, you can't do that with a website necessarily whatsoever. Okay, that didn't make sense necessarily whatsoever, but you understand what I mean. So if you need access to the phone native features, for example, contact list, GPS, phone calls, camera, then the app is going to be a stronger case in point for you. And number 4, the ability to work offline. Okay, so although apps may require internet connectivity to perform tasks, they can still offer basic content and functionality to users in the offline mode. To get to a website, you have to be connected to the internet, which of course we all can be at any time, almost everywhere on the planet these days. So as long as the website's up, it's fine. Of course, there's the issue then of the server and the hosting. There's different aspects on the back end there that need to be managed to make sure that there's the uptime 99.9%. There was the 7 nines, I think they call it. Anyway, so 4 things right there: personalization, ease of sending notifications, access to native features, and the ability to work offline. Okay, so things that make more sense potentially here in an app are games, notes, to-do lists, reminders, alarm clocks, social media, all recommended to have a mobile app. So, because you can use them oftentimes during the day, multiple times during the day, and you can interact with them, and you want them to be lag-free, right? You don't want to have to be dependent on an internet connection, because if there's an app, it's locally on your device in the majority of the cases. So now you might be thinking, what do I do first? App, website, do I need both? And you also may think that the app is the better way to go. And that might be true. I say might like in air quotes, but keep in mind, the website is still a very much important part of the business plan. It's a whole part of the plan. Having a website, as I always tell my clients, it's not the end all. You have a website, and I know this from experience. I remember I set up my old photography website to little fanfare. I'm like, woohoo, I have a new website. And I heard crickets, because it's not everything. It's part of the overall strategy, overall plan and marketing, okay? It's a place to gather and share your content, offer deals, your services, gather information from your potential clients and customers, but it's not the end all. You have to do more. It's not just put up a website and the phone starts ringing off the hook, okay? Lastly here, keep in mind, truly, that most successful mobile apps cost a lot more money than a website. In the research I found, you're looking at about $10,000 to build it due to the features, the level of expected design these days, because, we've had mobile apps now for 10 years approximately, I believe. So design needs to be taken into consideration. UI, UX, having it across multiple platforms, iOS and Android. So there's a website I found out there that asks you some of these questions as well. And if your budget is less than $10,000 from the first question, it says, go to a website, build a website. If it has more than $10,000 budget, then some other questions are asked. It's kind of like a little survey. And this is a website asking about mobile app development. Kind of funny. And it looks like, if you have 10,000, fine, next question. And then the third or fourth question was, do you have $25,000? So you are going to be at a minimum of $10,000 to build the mobile app. And, and then you have to maintain that as well. And you have to have developers to do that. And if that's not you, then it's somebody else in your business model. So, is the app also free versus paid in-app purchases? Of course, there's all those things as well. And we do the same thing in the WordPress space. We build plugins, or people build plugins for free, but then the model is the add-on model to have certain features that extend that plugin. So it's a plugin to the plugin, right? So anyway, so keep those things in mind. I believe in my heart of hearts that you still need a website, no matter what. Does your business need an app as well? Maybe. Okay, I'm not going to say it depends. I'm going to say maybe. It might make sense. It really might. Okay, it depends, I guess. But just keep in mind that there is no right answer for everybody here. There are just options. And, there you go. So the end story here on the client in question was they decided not to do a mobile app right now. They just decided to refocus and redirect their energies into not just the website, but creating a forum. That way they could have user engagement, because that's what they really needed. So, and I think it was a good use of their money hiring me and to get some feedback on that, and some other people as well. They asked a lot of people for feedback. I'm not sure if they hired everybody, but I know they did hire me, so that's kind of cool. All right, so I hope that helps you if you are considering a mobile app versus a website, or a mobile app in addition to your website. So there you go. All right, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week is a interesting tip and tool. I guess it's a tool, technically. It's for Mac people only at the moment. If you have an Apple TV, and if you've seen the Apple TVs and they have those really cool aerial screensavers on your Apple TV, you can actually do that on your Macintosh, laptop, or desktop. And I think it's really cool. It's a open source little project by John Coates. It's over in GitHub. I'll link to it in the show notes. It allows you to have those awesome screensavers on your Mac, and it's called Arial. Anyway, so those Arial flyovers are pretty cool. It's over at github.com/John Coates. That's JOHNCOATES/Arial. If you want to go just look it up, but it's also in the show notes. So that is it this week. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email. I'm Adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that SpeakPipe functionality on the website. If you want to support the show, you can by becoming a Patreon, KitchensinkWP.com/Patreon, Patreon. Thanks to the Patreons I have now. Really do appreciate it. If you want to sponsor the show, you can also do that. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. Really do appreciate you being here week in and week out, and I'll talk to you next week. Go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. Bye-bye for now.